Hi there, this is Ruben from Dutch Round 1. Thanks again for coming by. Thanks for watching another episode. As always, I appreciate your time and I appreciate your support. Today I've got 10 things you should know when you start learning Dutch. But before we do that, if you like this, remember to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content, and let me know in the comments if this was useful for you or not. But without much further ado, let's go and have a look at the 10 things you should know when you start learning Dutch. And we'll start off with the first one. First of all, I want to congratulate you. Well done on, making up your mind and deciding to study Dutch. I'm sure you'll do well. There's a couple of things which you need to know before you start, might help you out, so we'll go over them one by one. The first one, which is quite difficult in Dutch, is the pronunciation, all right? If you speak French, Spanish, or any other language, you will find that the pronunciation of Dutch is actually a little bit different and also a little bit challenging, all right? Maybe people speaking German or some people speaking some Scandinavian languages might have a little bit of an advantage, but it's a different pronunciation altogether. We've got a few difficult sounds such as the G sound, the SCH, sch sound, the diphthongs. What is a diphthong? Well, it's basically when we put two vowels together and then we pronounce them as one. For instance, O and E, we will pronounce as OE. And then also there's a difference in accent between the Dutch which is spoken in the Netherlands and then also the Dutch which is spoken in Flanders, in the north of Belgium. All right, if you want some more information on pronunciation, if you want to take a look at the alphabet, if you want to take a look at those diphthongs, click the following link and I've made a video about it. Please do note that I am Belgian, so I am Flemish, so my accent will be a little bit different than people coming from the Netherlands. All right, so the first one, the pronunciation is quite tricky. Just take it easy and I'm sure you'll ease into it. We go to the next one. It's basically ignore the English, all right? Keep insisting. This is basically for people living in Belgium and living in the Netherlands. In Flanders and the Netherlands in general, there's a decent level of English. Don't give in. What do I mean by that is basically you start off speaking Dutch, Flemish for that matter, and people will hear that you're struggling or that you're trying to find your words, or they will find some mistakes in the grammatical structure and they will respond in English. Please don't give in. Don't give up. Keep insisting on speaking Dutch. Because in Belgium and the Netherlands, people are so used to English that they don't mind responding in English, even though you're trying to speak Dutch. So don't give in. Keep pushing. All right? The next one is number 3. Don't be shy. I know that's a tough one, but keep trying to speak as much as possible, even though you don't really feel comfortable. I mean, when we learn a language, we feel comfortable reading, sometimes listening, but speaking might be a little bit challenging because we're afraid to make mistakes. We're afraid maybe not to sound that smart, but that's okay. I mean, when I learn a new language and when I try to communicate in that language, I put my pride aside and I just make the one mistake after the other. But eventually people, they kind of appreciate it and eventually you get better. Every beginning is hard, so keep trying to speak as much as possible. In the end, it will help you and you'll get better over time, all right? So don't be shy. Number 4, the second verb at the end, all right? So this will basically be repetition, 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 because in many languages, this is something which is not logical at all. So I want to eat soup, all right? So basically in English, you have want, which is your auxiliary verb, and then you have to eat, which is then the infinitive, so your main verb of the sentence. Now, you will translate it literally just like in English, and you will say, ik wil eten soep. Doesn't work in Dutch, all right? Ik wil soep eten, right? So your main verb, your second verb will go at the end of the sentence. If you have some questions about sentence structure in Dutch, don't worry, made a video about it. Click on the link and I'm sure you will have a better understanding after that video. Alright, so ik wil soep eten, ik is our subject, wil auxiliary verb, soep our object, and then eten will be our main verb, our second verb, which we will place at the end of the sentence. Alright, number 5, reading, listening, speaking. So there's a normal sequence when you learn a language. For most of the people, I'm sure there's exceptions, but I try to speak for most of the people. Most of my students follow that sequence. Even me, when I learn a new language, I follow that sequence. It's basically, most likely, you'll find reading the easiest and speaking the most difficult part of the learning process. I have a lot of students which basically say, when I read it, it's okay. When I listen to it, it's fine. But the moment that I have to start building sentences, I block. I have a blackout. That is normal. Completely normal. The thing is basically just keep pushing. Don't give in. Try to form those sentences and keep reading and keep listening, because you'll be able to enhance your vocabulary and you'll find words more easy when time goes on. Alright, so number 5, reading, listening, speaking. That's the sequence of difficulty. We go to number 6. Well, in Dutch, compound words. If you have to pronounce them, take a breather. For instance, kindercarnavalsoptocht, voorbereidingswerkzaamheden, comité-leden. Alright, that's, a little bit of a spectacular word. It's 60 letters. It's one of the longest which there is in the Dutch language, or any language for... I don't know, in my reckoning. I'll translate this for you. So it's basically members of the committee of the preparation works for the children's carnival parade. All right. So that would be the translation. In English and any other languages, you would, kind of cut them up and it would make sense. In Dutch, we tend to have compound words which are quite long. Don't be, scared by them. If you have to read them, if you have to pronounce them, take your time. Speak slowly. I mean, I know life goes fast, but if you have to pronounce these kind of words, take your time. I'm sure people will be patient to listen to them. All right. Number 7, ease into it. What do I mean with ease into it? Don't go all out in the beginning. Try to do some fun stuff if you're living in Belgium or the Netherlands. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes I've got students and they're like, okay, we're going to book 7 hours a week. We're going to do Dutch every day. Dutch will be like, we'll wake up with Dutch, we'll end up with Dutch, and we will try and speak it as fast as possible. That's a great mindset, something which I really admire. But, if, you wake up with Dutch, you go to sleep with Dutch, the only thing you do is work, study. After a while, you'll fall out of love with the language, because, it will be constantly focused on the working part. And if you want to, learn a language, you also have to try and like the culture. I mean, I'm convinced of that. So basically, do some cultural stuff in Belgium and the Netherlands, ideally with some Dutch words, some Dutch languages, or where you have to speak Dutch. That'd be great. But, get to know the culture, try to do some fun stuff, and, maybe it'll make learning Dutch a little bit, more pleasant. But, I like the motivation, but don't go all out from the beginning, because at a certain moment you'll just kind of explode. All right, so ease into it, try to do some fun stuff, get to know the culture, try to speak with some local people, and have some good memories and some good experiences, because that's also quite important. All right, number 8, the word Don't break anything. What do I mean by that is basically the word can be quite frustrating. I mean, what does it mean? Where do you place it? Many people struggle with it. Even people who have already an intermediate level still struggle with the word It's used for quantity, place, and then sometimes also we use it with prepositions, erop, eronder, ermee, and so on. If you're confused about the word don't worry, made a video about it. Click on the following link and I'm sure you'll have a better understanding after having watched that video. The word please don't break anything. I'm sure you'll get there. Just give it a little bit of time. Alright, then number 9. Ask people to speak slowly. I mean, learn this one by heart. This sentence, learn it by heart. Kan or kan je langzamer spreken? Can you speak more slowly? That'd be great. If you're learning Dutch, most of the people, they'll appreciate that you try to speak their language if you're in Belgium and the Netherlands. So, don't be shy to ask them to speak slower, because your understanding will be better, and then you'll also have time to respond. I'm sure, if you study Dutch longer, you'll be able to speak faster, and also to be able to understand faster sentences or faster communication. But in the beginning, kun or kan je langzamer spreken. What's the difference between kun and kan? Kun is a little bit more formal, and then kan is a little bit less formal, more informal. But both of them mean can you speak a little bit more slowly, please. All right, and then number 10, another grammatical point of frustration sometimes is inversion. Yes, I agree, it does not make sense. All right, the sentence you are seeing there is vandaag ga ik naar school, which is basically today go I to school. In English that would be today I go to school, but in Dutch we use inversion quite a lot if we start our sentence with anything else than our subject. If you have some questions about inversions, if you feel like it's a big maze and you don't find the way out, don't worry, made a video about it. Click on the following link, and I'm sure after that video you'll have a better idea of what inversion is and also how to use it. I want to thank you again for watching. We come to the end of basically the 10 things you should know when you start to learn Dutch. I'm sure that they might be useful for you. I hope so. And if you like this content, remember to give the like, subscribe to the channel if you want more, and let me know in the comments if this was useful for you or not. If you want to support the channel, go to the description box, click on the Buy Me a Coffee link, and I will greatly appreciate it. Again, I want to thank you for watching. I want to wish you a great rest of the day, and stay tuned for another episode of Dutch Round 1. Ciao.